You think discipline is effort. It isn't. Effort is what you use when structure fails, and your life is built on effort. That's why you're exhausted. You wake up and start negotiating immediately. 5 more minutes. Check the phone first. Start later. Wait until you feel ready. You think these are harmless micro decisions. They are not harmless. They are fractures. Every decision you leave open becomes a drain on your identity. You are not tired because life is hard. You are tired because everything is optional. Optional wake-up time, optional work ethic, optional standards, optional boundaries. You live inside flexibility, and flexibility feels like freedom until you realize it produces nothing solid. Steel does not become strong through flexibility. It becomes strong through constraint, pressure, repetition, heat. Your life has too many exits, too many back doors, too many "I'll start tomorrow" clauses. You call it being adaptable. It's actually being uncommitted. And you feel that quiet guilt at night, the subtle awareness that you could have done more. That is not laziness. That is structural failure. You built a life that requires constant willpower, and willpower is unreliable. You think discipline means pushing harder, waking up hyped, forcing yourself through resistance, grinding through mood swings. That's not discipline. That's emergency effort. Emergency effort works occasionally. It does not build empires. Look at the industrial scale of a man like Henry Ford. You think he woke up every morning debating productivity? No. Systems decided for him. Production lines, schedules, roles, defined processes. He didn't rely on daily inspiration. He engineered inevitability. And that's the skill no one teaches you. Not how to try harder, but how to remove the need to try at all. You are losing energy before your real work even begins. You decide what to wear. You decide what to eat. You decide whether to check notifications. You decide when to start. You decide if you're in the mood. Each decision is small, but small leaks sink ships. By the time you reach meaningful work, your cognitive fuel is half empty, and then you blame focus. You blame distraction. You blame your personality. No, you are bleeding power through unnecessary choice. There is a psychological truth you avoid. The more options you give yourself, the weaker you become. Options create negotiation. Negotiation creates delay. Delay creates inconsistency, and inconsistency destroys identity. You don't see yourself as disciplined because your behavior is unpredictable. Unpredictable behavior weakens self-trust. And without self-trust, you hesitate. That hesitation is killing your momentum. You still treat your goals like suggestions. I'll go to the gym if I feel okay. I'll work if I'm inspired. I'll study if I have energy. Listen carefully. If your behavior depends on mood, you will always lose to comfort. Comfort is patient. Comfort is seductive. Comfort whispers. It never attacks.
It simply offers alternatives, and you accept them, over and over. The disciplined identity does not operate on alternatives. It operates on pre-decided standards. This is meta-discipline, disciplining the decision itself. You do not wake up and ask if you train. You train. You do not wake up and ask if you work. You work. There is no daily referendum, no emotional vote, no internal debate. The decision was made once, and it stands. You resist this because it feels restrictive. You say you value freedom, but your current freedom produces mediocrity. Structure produces power. Chaos produces fatigue. You are fatigued because you are constantly choosing. Imagine a day where the most important actions are automatic. Wake up, move, work, create. No argument, no friction, just execution. You think that sounds robotic. It is not robotic. It is aligned. You brush your teeth every day without motivation. You do not debate it. It is identity. Now imagine if your standards were treated with that same finality, not as ambitions, as requirements. Right now, you still see discipline as heroic, something you do when you're locked in, something dramatic, something intense. Real discipline is boring, repetitive, predictable. It is the same time, the same block, the same rules, day after day. And your ego hates boredom. Your ego wants stimulation, variety, dopamine. But boredom builds strength. Repetition builds identity. When Thomas Edison failed thousands of times, it wasn't because he woke up inspired. It was because experimentation was his default state. When Abraham Lincoln endured years of political defeat before leadership, he did not feel ready. He operated under commitment. You are waiting to feel ready. You are waiting for the perfect mood. You are waiting for the right conditions. But readiness is an illusion created by comfort. The truth? You will never feel perfectly prepared. That's why rule setting is power. You eliminate the need for emotional alignment. You act because the rule exists. You obey the standard because you decided once that it mattered. Your life right now is a democracy. Every part of you gets a vote. Tired gets a vote. Hungry gets a vote. Distracted gets a vote. Insecure gets a vote. Comfort always wins majority. The disciplined mind is not a democracy. It is a hierarchy. Standards sit at the top. Feelings sit below. You have inverted the order. You obey feelings and wonder why results fluctuate. There is a loneliness to rule setting, because once you remove decisions, excuses disappear. And without excuses, you see yourself clearly. You see when you avoid. You see when you delay. You see when you betray your own standards. That clarity is uncomfortable, which is why most people prefer flexibility. Flexibility hides weakness. Rules expose it, but exposure is necessary. You cannot build strength around blind spots. Here is the escalation you must face. If you continue living by daily negotiation, your self-trust will decay. And once self-trust decays, identity fractures. And once identity fractures, discipline becomes impossible. Because you no longer believe yourself. You promise, you delay, you adjust, you forgive, you repeat. That cycle is eroding you. Meta-discipline breaks it. You sit down once, you define your standards. Wake time, training time, deep work block, phone boundaries, sleep window. You decide once, and then you obey. No creativity, no daily innovation, no emotional override. It sounds harsh. It is. But pressure creates edge. Edge creates rarity. Rarity creates value. Right now, you are common because your behavior is inconsistent. Inconsistent people are predictable, predictably average. You want uncommon results? You need uncommon rigidity, not extreme intensity, structural rigidity. When your important behaviors become default, something shifts internally. You stop negotiating, you stop questioning, you stop doubting. Clarity replaces chaos, and clarity conserves energy. That conserved energy becomes focus. That focus becomes output.
That output becomes identity. And once identity changes, discipline is no longer something you do. It is something you are. This is the irreversible point. The day you stop asking yourself, should I, and start saying, I do. No emotion attached, no ceremony, just compliance with your own standards. That is power. Not loud, not dramatic, quiet, cold, unbreakable. You don't need more hype. You don't need another productivity hack. You need fewer decisions, fewer loopholes, fewer exits. Design your days like architecture, solid, reinforced, intentional. Or continue living in mental chaos. Continue debating yourself. Continue exhausting yourself with micro choices. Continue wondering why your results don't match your ambition. Discipline is not effort, it is removal. Remove negotiation, remove optionality, remove emotional voting rights, and watch what happens to your identity. Because once structure locks in, there is no going back to chaos. And once you taste that level of internal control, comfort loses its voice. Choose carefully, because the version of you that keeps deciding every morning will never outrun the version of you that decided once and obeyed forever. No relief, no soft landing, point of no return. There is something you are not admitting. You like the chaos. You complain about inconsistency. You hate your lack of focus, but you still protect the very structure that creates it. Because chaos gives you excuses, and excuses protect your ego. If everything is flexible, then nothing is truly your fault. If there are no fixed standards, then there is always a reason. Bad sleep, low mood, wrong timing, unexpected stress. You always have an explanation, and explanations are comfortable. But explanation is not execution. You are addicted to having outs, backup plans, emotional clauses, escape routes. You don't want discipline. You want the identity of a disciplined person without the architectural commitment. And architecture requires permanence. It requires saying, this is who I am now. Not when it's convenient, not when it's easy, not when someone is watching. Now, forever. That word scares you. Forever. If you follow through, if you lock in the structure and refuse to debate it, you will feel something unfamiliar. Silence. No internal argument. No daily uncertainty. No emotional bargaining. Just execution. And in that silence, your power will return. Slowly, quietly, but permanently. Because self-trust begins the moment your word becomes law. Not suggestion, law. When you say you wake at 5, you wake at 5. When you say you train, you train. When you say you work, you work. Not because you feel strong, but because you do not violate your own code. And once you stop violating your own code, you stop seeing yourself as weak. Your posture changes. Your thinking sharpens. Your standards rise without effort because identity has stabilized. Most people will never experience this. They will live in endless adjustment, endless flexibility, endless emotional governance. They will call it balance. They will call it freedom. But they will never know the force of a life that is engineered instead of improvised. You are standing at a decision point. Continue negotiating daily, continue leaking energy, continue rebuilding momentum every Monday, or design your life once. Accept the restriction, accept the boredom, accept the repetition, and remove the option to be less than you decided to be. There is no middle ground. You either architect your behavior or your impulses will architect it for you. And impulses do not build greatness. They build comfort, and comfort builds nothing that lasts. This is not about productivity. It is about identity sovereignty. It is about becoming a person whose standards are immovable. Because once your standards stop moving, so does your self-doubt. And when self-doubt stops, you become dangerous. Not loud, not dramatic, dangerous in silence. The kind of dangerous that does not restart, does not renegotiate, does not collapse when unseen. And once you cross into that territory, you will never again tolerate the chaos you used to call normal. That is the discipline skill no one teaches you. And once you learn it, you cannot unlearn it. Now decide, will you keep choosing every morning, or will you decide once and never ask again? If this exposed you, don't ignore it. Like the video. Not for me, for the standard you just confronted. Comment what rule you're locking in. Make it public. No negotiation after that. Share this with someone who keeps restarting their life every Monday. And subscribe only if you're ready to stop negotiating with yourself. Otherwise, this channel isn't for you.